Good morning, my friends. It's your old pal PeaceLoveMusic with another Stacks Morning update. It is Friday morning and I feel good. It's been a long week. There's a lot going on, but I'm super bullish on our ecosystem. I am super excited about what's building out on Stacks and how our community is growing and integrating and all these beautiful nodes of different activity that are interconnected throughout our community, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. So I'm super excited about it. Again, a friendly reminder, this is not financial advice. We are a news show. We provide news and information only. Always do your own research. Never invest money you can't afford to lose, and do not make your investment decisions based on my opinion about anything. I get it wrong a lot, so sometimes I get it right too, but do your own research. Uh, Bitcoin's looking good. It's back up nearing that $68,000 number. It dropped down to like 66, coming in at 67,866 just a few minutes before broadcast. Stacks is up to $1.88 and pushed up to the number 32 position by market cap on Coin Market Cap. That's big. That's the highest I've seen it since I started doing this broadcast a couple months ago. So Stacks is raising up against other cryptos while the ecosystem is moving up. So that's good. Fair and Greed did dip down from 60 to 58 back into the neutral range, which is kind of good. I like to see it in a neutral range. It makes things not get overheated too much. When we start getting into that greed level, that's when you get the push, but then you also get some more violent corrections in that space, from what I've seen. The last 24 hours, the three top gainers over the last 24 hours on CoinMarketCap are Bohm, Mew, and Mog. All of them are meme coins. All of them are on platforms I don't really participate in. But that's also an interesting sign for the space if the meme coins are starting to pick up. Uh, interesting times. Interesting times. Taking a look at the Stacks calendar for the day. We have the weekly SIP call, Stacks Improvement Proposal on X. That is at 11 a.m. That has moved up an hour to accommodate some other shows. I know Landy goes live usually sometime around noon or 1. Also, Zenitron is going to be doing a play to earn at noon today. So check out that. It's a really fun piece of a kind of a new concept as far as getting community engagement in a fun way and providing some opportunities to earn a little bit of earn a little bit of swag for participating. If you like playing with Google Maps or you like engaging with the community and spending a little bit of time trying to earn a few stacks or some SIP10 tokens, tune into them at 2 p.m. Good for Bitcoin, the Trust Machines show. That's 2 p.m. Eastern time, followed by Stacks Africa update and chill session at 3 p.m. Stacks Nigeria pushing the narrative at 4 p.m. and then finishing out the week with Nakamoto Friday. Dan Trevino and Brad. Actually, they're calling that Purple Pill Friday now. I believe they rebranded, but always some great conversations with those guys, OGs in the space, and it's a great way to kind of round out the week, heading into the weekend. And we are heading into the weekend. It's important to remember to take the time to touch some grass and finish the week strong. Don't take the day out early. There's still a day ahead of us to complete, but knock it out of the park, finish the week strong, and then head into the weekend and take your time. Get your peace, get your rest. That's important. Big news announced yesterday. We are super excited. Nakamoto update block has been repicked. We're looking at block number 867867, anticipated for Tuesday, October 29th. That's less than 2 weeks away. We've already gotten it live on Nakamoto testnet, on the main testnet now for over a week. Devs are working hard. Core devs are working hard on that, and we're super excited about that. Can't say enough about the the effort put in by the community and the core devs and what they're working on. It's a lot of work. It's a big undertaking. There's a lot of moving parts, and they're handling it all well. And I appreciate the patience of some of the players in the community that are waiting desperately for these fast blocks to come so that they can introduce some of the features and some of the stuff that they've been working on for their projects that require the fast blocks. It's been delayed for several months with good purpose and good reason, and I think we're all going to be better off for it. But it's been a long time coming, and there's been a lot of patience needed. So kudos to everyone and congratulations. It's getting exciting. We're almost there. We are almost there. Some really cool news yesterday, a really interesting development. Ordinals Bot and Swarm have tokenized a bar of gold on chain on Ordinals protocol, and it's redeemable in real life gold. So this is the establishment of a stable token that's based on gold, the value of gold, which is a really, really interesting development. People may not really realize how big it is. Some people have said, well, this is just kind of like trading or buying paper gold. But it's not necessarily really the same because you can audit this differently. It's really hard to create and maintain the value at the dollar, at the value peg, if you're fractionalizing those the reserves. So I realize the concern, and it's always good to pay attention and be vigilant, but this is a really cool development, really innovative, and I'm super excited about it. Also, we are giving away 20 Tremp whitelist mints. The Tremp is coming up for the end of the month. You have about 24 hours left to enter, and if you actually use the QR code right up there, that'll take you to the post yesterday for DeOrganized. To enter, you have to retweet, drop your Stacks address, and that'll enter you to win one of the 20 available guaranteed whitelist spots for the upcoming Tremp NFT mint. And you definitely want to mint some of those guys. Those guys have been cranking. It's a great community, a bunch of awesome guys working on it, especially good friend of the show, Gigapepe, GPSC. And if you do have a community, they are looking to do more whitelist collabs with your community. So if you're a DeOrganized fan, go to the QR code, go to the link. Link is also in the description on YouTube channel and YouTube channel broadcasts. And if you're watching us on the Facebook feed, I know a lot of our audience is watching on X, Twitter, which again, QR code, go to the link, or just go to the DeOrganized BTC page and you can find the post, respond, drop your addy, and get in line for one of the whitelist mints for Tremp. Also, Power Awards. You guys need to get out there and submit if you're building a project, if you're a creator, builder, or a community leader, and you have done some work in the space over the last 3 months, 6 months, and you've produced stuff, you have a record of deliverables in your project, and you're looking for some funding. This is a form of grant funding. A lot of people, we're maybe looking at rebranding it to the Power Grant Awards or the Power Grants project, because people, it is an award, it's a grant award, and it's for work that's already been done, but it is a way to fund community projects that are looking for funding. And I think there was a misperception where people were uncomfortable with submitting their own information to nominate themselves for an award. But this is a grant award. It's the same thing as submitting your project for a D grants, but you already have the proof of work, and that's what it's for. So check out the Power Awards. It's on StacksLink. You go to the @StacksLink X page. You can find the link to Power Awards, and also you can find that on Good Kitty's page. Good Kitty is the one that's spearheading that project amongst all of the other projects she's in. So follow Good Kitty, follow Stacks Link, and if you have a project that you need a little bit of funding for, nominate yourself for a Power Award. There's definitely no shame in it. I'll be happy to take the money if I win for DeOrganized, and I did submit our project as well. It's just an important thing to help grow the community. I actually have an awesome guest. It is Friday. My regular co-host for Friday mornings, Jack Binswitch, legend of Stacks Legends. How are you this morning, my friend?
Man, doing good. It's so cool to see DeOrganized grow, and it's so cool to see
Jack, can you
just
hear me?
all of these different. Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you're frozen for a minute. You were frozen for a minute. You caught up.
It's cold down here today. We ain't used to these cold temperatures, so I guess I am freezing.
What's your temperature this morning? What are you guys looking at?
Wait. Now I got to qualify this. You're from way up north. I'm from way down south. So real cold to me is about 41. Okay,
41. That's pretty cold. That's a crisp morning. That's about what we are. That's an average morning for us around here. I think we're around the same though. That's very cold for you guys. I know that for sure.
We're like super humid, so it's like a bone chilling, just cold, But it's really cool to see.
We got some friends saying good morning. We got Matt Disbro. What's up, Matt? Matty Bitflow. We got Hero Gamer. Good morning, Hero. Good morning. GPSC. What's up, my brother? Everyone's coming to say hi this morning. Squidfin. What's up? What's up? And GPSC, you're one of our favorite people too, man. He says we're two of his favorites.
No, I feel
great dude.
It's good people. That's the thing about Stacks. It's been my favorite so far is just how many good people that I've been able to meet and develop these friendships with, and it's phenomenal. It's unique in all of crypto, and it's a blast. And so good morning, guys. You guys rock. Like some absolute legends tuning in right now. And but yeah, man, it's fun to see how the space is growing and all these different initiatives take off. It's the coolest thing I've seen since I've been here.
Man, that is the truth. I've been following the Stacks ecosystem for about a year and a half, and you're probably the first personality I came across with all the work you've been doing. I've mentioned this several times. You were integral in getting me involved into the community here. But what's kept me here is what you just said. There's all of this, the people here. There's just tons of great people. The community's great. Everyone's supportive. Everyone's looking to be involved and help each other out. GPSC, Matt, Hero, all of the people saying good morning. They're not just fanboys of our show. Right. They're part of the Stacks community. We're all together here, and we support each other too. I support your stuff. You support my stuff. We support a bunch of other projects, and I haven't experienced anything like this in any community, crypto or otherwise, to be honest.
And the amount of talent you have that's found this ecosystem is elite. Like the talent stack on Stacks is just off the charts, massive. That's why it's not an accident that you now that it's maturing a little bit more, because people don't stop and think that in reality it's still a young blockchain, right? And it the amount of talent and building that's taken place is massive, and people are going to be real shocked when they find this place, and then it's going to be a rush of not just degens. It's going to be people who from the institutional level who are interested in making Bitcoin what it can be, helping them build DeFi and all these different rails on Bitcoin. And then it's going to be creatives, and then it's going to be people who who are like us, who saw something special and want to figure out how to participate. So, what Stacks is going to look like 5 years from now, who knows, man? But it's going to be massive. It's going to be absolutely massive.
Yeah, man. I'm so happy to be here. I've been saying it for probably since I started this morning piece of the DeOrganized project. I feel like this is a home. And while, we're not, we're chain agnostic, right? We're not just about Stacks. We love Stacks, and I think Stacks is a huge player in the ecosystem. But we're also looking at ordinals. We're friends with ordinals communities, and there's a lot of ordinals guys that are in Stacks, and there's a lot of ordinals guys that are starting to look at Stacks, and there's also a lot of Stacks guys that are looking at ordinals, are starting to look at the meta protocol stuff and the DMT stuff. And then like last week I had Phoenix Green from the Decred, and a few weeks ago we had Unchained Ninja from Art Unchained, and Danilo Cerullo from the Miracle Project, which focuses on NFT projects, and they've just branched into ordinals. It's a place where if you have an NFT community, you can come out and you can put your NFT project on there and let people know what type of benefits they get from holding your NFT or holding your ordinal project, or what kind of whitelist mints or what kind of mints you're up for, or what kind of airdrops you might receive. And that's cross-chain. These guys are in Ethereum and Solana, and now they're also branching into ordinals, and then now they're looking at Stacks NFTs. And we had Rube's got the attention of CoinGecko. We're gonna get Stacks ecosystem on the NFTs listed on CoinGecko likely soon. And it's just constant wins in this, and deliverables in this space, and we're still waiting on fast blocks. We don't even have that yet.
It's the whole paradigm of crypto in terms of just like the social aspect, and even a lot of tokenization aspects. They're all about to change with AI. AI is merging with crypto now in a way that we haven't seen up until this point. And it's going to be really cool to see how that happens, and what that looks like, because that's coming quick. That's coming really fast. I was on the phone with an AI founder yesterday, and like, dude, my mind was blown, like completely blown. What's coming in a quick way. Like, I'll try to get him on the show here shortly. When they're a little closer to launching what they're doing, because and that's just one AI thing. Looking at Stacks, building on Stacks, you've got all this.
You know about the AI BTC guys?
No, this is different. The AI BTC guys, they've been on it. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like,
it's crazy. It's so many things.
Why people who this is their first cycle don't really know what just a typical cycle feels like. It's been my conviction for a long time. Like, Munib posted something last night, and I quote tweeted one of my tweets on it, where he was talking to a friend who was like all of a sudden super bullish on Bitcoin, who's kind of like a trader guy. And I quoted a tweet from like 2022 where I'm like, guys, Stacks 2.1 is going live. It's about to go nuts. And when I made that tweet, Stacks was 28 cents. And like, what I'm saying here is, my contention was Bitcoin on DeFi on Bitcoin would be the biggest bull ever. And even now, when I'm watching the AI stuff work also, I don't think that even people who've seen bull cycles are fully ready for what this is going to look like. You've got so many different factors. You've got the political factors, which, if you've been following this for a while, and then this, you've been in Bitcoin for a while, no one really knew what was going to happen with Bitcoin. Like, we didn't really care. We just like, this thing is cool. This is an answer to a lot of problems. We need hard money. so I'm backing this, and now it's like nation states are interested in Bitcoin, and then like I don't know, man. It's like I said, I could take what I think's going to happen and probably just throw it in the trash, because I don't think that even our prior experiences is going to be super helpful for what's coming.
I agree, and I think so. We both know that it's very, very important. What's coming out this election is very important. It's really going to make or break the cycle, and it's going to make or break the cycle for the big money. Is going to have a good cycle no matter what.
They always win. That's the problem.
Right. Big money is going to have a good cycle no matter what. But the difference between a pro crypto, pro Bitcoin administration and a pro TradFi, pro establishment, pro globalist monetary order administration is going to be huge. If it's really, really important, I'm decentralization maxi. I wouldn't call myself an anarchist, because I do think that we need to have some rules that govern society. I think that the most effective way to get into that is at the local level. Shout out, by the way, to Riot says good morning, Reese says good morning, and Hamish Jones says good morning. And Hamish is the resident DAO and governance guy for the StacksLink community. He did a tremendous work on that, and so he has some interesting insights. He's actually running for local office out in where he lives in Australia. So good luck to him. But it's important that I have long since kind of looked at national races as being something I don't even really like to participate in, because I don't feel like the people really have much say and much input. And I really don't love the option that we have. That's the clear best option, right? But it's clearly the best option. It's, I don't even want to call it a lesser evil. I want to call it better than the evil option. The current establishment is really bad because they're not honest actors. That's the point of the whole thing. They don't want us to have, they want to censor information. They don't want us to be informed. They want to make sure that we only know that only the information they allow us to share is allowed. So it's not it's not
anti-human. It's anti-freedom. It's, look, here's the bottom line, dude. Most people, especially young people who received, all they know about history is what they learned in school and in captured institutions. Read a book like Common Sense, okay, like by Thomas Paine. Read that book. Like government, there was an understanding when our government was formed here in this country of what it should look like and why it should look that way. And government is not supposed to be this big, giant, monolithic thing that controls every aspect of your life. It's supposed to help secure your freedoms and your natural rights. Okay, this idea of natural law, and that's what it's supposed to do. And now, what you have a choice of, but you have Trump on his side. You have like RFK and Elon Musk and Tulsi Gabbard and all these people who are like, wait, this is crazy. We can all kind of align, even though we come across the political spectrum, and be like, this is not the direction we need to go in. We're going to wind up in a tyrannical situation. And one can argue that when you have the government forcing people to take injections to participate in society, that you've already gotten there. But if you want more of that, if you want the CBDCs, Elizabeth Warren loves CBDCs. She's all talking about CBDCs for years now. Okay, so only kind of crypto she likes. If you want complete control of your life, to be in charge of this overarching government, well, do you have your choice? I'm going to always go with the people who are going to try to get government closer to, what it was intended to be in the first place, which was to maximize people's freedoms and rights and to protect those rights, help protect those rights. Government's not supposed to be a mafia that just you pay collection money to, and then you can't like escape your house because the crime's so high and this, that, and the other. Government's supposed to be
At least the mafia, at least the local mobs protected the neighborhoods.
Exactly, 100%. So like when you look at the fundamental thing we have going on now, where Bitcoin is now, it's not viewed as something that what's going to happen with Bitcoin. We can see what's happening with Bitcoin. It's inevitable at this point. So I'm going to always go for the pro freedom part, and so I don't need some empty suit puppet. My God, I'm so glad people are finally paying attention, because we've just had a president in this country who had very bad dementia, who had dementia before he even ran for office. As a trained clinician who's treated thousands of dementia patients, I knew he had dementia before he was even in office.
It was obvious to all of us.
Right.
It was obvious to all of us, but our established media presented it as if it was not a thing, that was not true, that was false information. They wouldn't cover it. That information was censored from us.
Right. So if you take that, and now we got someone with an IQ that's about 60, as far as I can tell. So we don't need empty-headed puppets who are figureheads running this country on behalf of powerful interests. We need to get back closer to what this country was supposed to be, so that we can be the light of freedom in the world that other countries can aspire to. Just like with the whole SpaceX catching a gigantic rocket, that was inspiring to everyone. That was like an alternate vision to what's been going on. And people are like, wow, why aren't we trying to do these kinds of things? Why are we just like letting morons without agency and tyrannical people drag us into the Stone Age? Why do we want that? The government's not your daddy. The government's not here to protect you. The government in and of itself is a necessary evil. That's what the necessary evil is, and you need people cognizant of that from voters and people who are going to represent you in government, so that you can actually have your rights protected. It's either that, or we see parallel societies and network states form. Like, this is where we're at. So if we're gonna try to do things good, and Bitcoin plays a part in this, because it's no accident that things have taken such a huge giant turn since the establishment of the Federal Reserve in this country, and central banking, which now kind of just runs the show. Okay, everything kind of just trickles down from that, because when you control the money supply, you control the country. This is not like a big surprise. Our founding fathers were having these conversations over 200 years ago. You don't need a standing army to control a country. You just need to control its money. So that's where we're at.
The standing army is needed to as an expeditionary force. It's not a defensive posture. It's an offensive posture.
Right.
And so the establishment of a standing army was done to create a globalist reach for the national governance mechanism in the US, and then that's been used to kind of extract wealth out of the country and externalize the cost of doing business abroad for an establishment class that exists beyond the scope of nations. That's what we're up against. We're up against a globalist establishment that from the top down dominates our not just the federal, but the state and local level too. They dominate our governing apparatuses from beyond the scope of control by the government. So it's really it's a very tedious process. It's a very tedious. It's hard to follow.
People wonder why they work harder and have less than their parents did. It's because your country and you yourself are being looted. If you just really want to get right down to it, we're all of our production, all of our labor, the most precious thing we have is time. Nobody else is entitled to the fruits of your labor. Yet we are literally just used as batteries by a system as a wealth extraction mechanism. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But we're in a unique position to at least try to have a chance here to change course. And because if that doesn't work, fine, we can figure out another way. But we have to we can't be regressive. We can't just sit here and just allow what's been happening to continue happening unchallenged. We have to have personal sovereignty. We have to have individual dignity, and part of that is the freedom to transact. That is a fundamental human right. Okay, and we need to continue to build from where we are, and try to get back on track and get away from this nonsense. And
The right to
we're in a
transact is a
position.
form of the right to transact is a form of speech, and it's
Yeah.
actually it's established law in the United States. I know a lot of people don't like it. As far as I'm talking about the Citizens United case that gave that established corporate personhood, and that corporations had a right to freedom of speech and expression through campaign finance, like average people. And yeah, the government establishes, corporations exist as an establishment of a recognized personhood by the state. That's just part of the mechanism. The right to incorporate, and that's another fundamental piece. I don't think that we should disallow corporations, but if we're going to establish that corporations have a right to personhood and a right to transact as a form of speech, then we can't ignore that all individuals also have a right to transact as a form
Right.
of just freedom of speech. Fundamentally, so I tend to adhere to a voluntarist model of social organization as being the best, which is not a great marketing term because it's awkward and weird. I often use the term consent based as maybe a little bit of a better way to explain it. But fundamentally, any otherwise peaceful person that's going on about their business and causing no harm to anyone, and they meet another otherwise peaceful person, and they want to exchange something or engage in any way that is, again, not harming anybody and not aggressing against one another, they should be left the fuck alone to do whatever they're going to do. Like, they're not
Right.
hurting anybody. There's no interested party. The state is not an interested party in every transaction between
No. Like,
people of the state.
okay,
That's
so
ridiculous.
if from my geography, I live in one of 50 states. It should not affect my life at all if some senator is crazy and elected in Nevada. That shouldn't affect my life at all. It's just that the government's too big, and we need to step away from that, because it's not like we don't have a lot of recorded history to show how that works. Like, it's that simple, and people need to kind of like free their minds a little bit and really start. One of the things that's so important, especially if you're here, especially if you're in the vanguard, like we are, like we find ourselves right now on the cusp of this financial revolution and this technology. You have to break out of the mental prison that the way things are the way they've always been. Okay, like, that's not true. Things are not static ever. And just because you think you see a present reality right now, that doesn't mean that it was right when that point changed. And it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be changed and made more right now. It's just like in the markets. You know, everyone's sitting there in the summer like, win this, win that. Why is everything, you know, choppy and stupid? And it's, well, you have X amount of liquidity in the market right now, but you don't plan to always have this amount of liquidity in the market. You know, you either can make a judgment that we're going to have less than that or more than that. And then you make decisions based on that. You don't sit there and make decisions based on in the market of what it looks like in that moment, right? So that's why you're gonna see a lot of people who've been butthurt from trading all summer and trying to like make things happen and getting rug pulled here and just destroying their portfolios because they were trying to trade bad market conditions where there's only X amount of liquidity in the market instead of like sticking with your conviction and seeing and paying attention and doing some research and seeing where things are headed. So you're about to see a lot of that just real close, you know, in crypto, in Bitcoin, in stacks right now, because we're really in a unique position to make Bitcoin more usable, right? And to take hard money now and be able to build financial products with it that can help like actually secure people's, you know, wealth with that. And then you have a positive cascade from all of these things that can happen if you just start there, you know, dude, like my grandparents and great grandparents, they weren't like buying real estate to secure their wealth. They weren't like investing in stocks and bonds to like protect their money. Like they actually had harder money back then. And I mean, these were poor people. They weren't able to do stuff like that anyway. But if they were, that wasn't a concern. Their concern was, you know, making a life, and then if everything's good, you have some things to give to your family so they can continue on that path. Not worrying about inflation just eating up your life's work and all your effort. And so now we're in that position where we can actually take a hard money asset and build stuff on it to make a newer financial system. And as more people realize that, more people are going to come into this space, and more institutions are going to come here, more builders are going to come here, and now like the work begins, because the work is real. This is so far beyond speculation. This is so far beyond Win Lambo. This is so far beyond, you know, Peppy the Frog. This is like real needle moving things, and we're here and we're going to watch it. And the people who've been paying attention and the people who have been, you know, patient and making good decisions are going to benefit greatly. And you're going to see, like I said, you're going to see a lot of people, you know, who miss out on the biggest bull market ever because they made foolish decisions. And there's metaphors in there, you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And there's a lot of opportunity here. Both opportunity to get in early on, you know, a decentralized global exchange network, right? That's what Bitcoin is. It's a decentralized, censorship resistant, open source, accessible to everyone exchange network, value exchange and communications exchange network, actually. And if you can be early to that, you can absolutely generate more wealth for yourself. They've trained me well, those guys.
Turns out you can generate wealth too, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. But it's a way. So technology is inherently deflationary. The more value, the more productivity you can get out of the same amount of effort, that's a deflationary prospect. And for the last several hundred years now, we've been seeing more and more and more rapid technological advancement. You mentioned we're catching rockets out of the damn sky. That's
Right.
insane. That's incredible. And it's amazing and it's inspiring. The only role of government, really, under the guise of protecting us and protecting our rights, now functionally, is to create inflation so that the deflation that happens with technological advance isn't actually realized. That's the actual basic function of our governing bodies right now. They have no fiscal responsibility. They spend it in the most inefficient ways possible. Our emergency management established body doesn't have the funds to respond to a fucking emergency, a major emergency. That's their whole reason for existing.
Right.
It's bananas that we accept this as a society. And the only reason we do is because the established mechanisms of communication for our society have put themselves into the position of being an authoritarian on what's true.
Right.
And with that position, they routinely misrepresent the truth and simultaneously cut off anybody that's challenging their assertions. It's a very, very dark place we've come to in certain respects.
That's why freedom of speech is our first right codified in the Bill of Rights. And people are just waking up to the fact that, like, they've just been fed, a story primarily, and not enough of a just input from one story. And maybe the story's more complex than that. Maybe it's got more moving pieces. And to see like the reaction to one solitary relatively free speech internet platform, when you see how that's been reacted to by nations, that should be your clue. Wait, I'm not even worried if I agree or disagree with this person said. Like, why is this such a big deal? What is there truth? What is there fiction? Like, what's going on? And so that gets into like the decentralized social media part of this, which is a sector that needs to be massive. And that's why it's so good that you're doing what you're doing here. And that this is why I love to be a part of this, because, as decentralized options to spread information come about, it can help empower people, because you don't have to agree with everything I say, but you can at least then take the initiative to think about it and maybe just not casually accept everything that you hear from one of a few handfuls of sources, right, that are coincidentally ideologically lined up with what the government wants you to say. Like, I saw a phenomenon. It's funny watching people notice things now. After Kamala Harris did a interview, they pointed, Elon Musk pointed this out, so it became very, very viral. All of these different headlines from all of these different supposedly independent news agencies all use the same word, like testy, in their little headline to talk about the interview. Dude, if you want to go, you can go back years and see that dynamic play out with like how the verbiage lines up along all these different media platforms. So
I scream, you scream, you know the rest. Look it up. I scream, you know the rest.
Right.
And there's countless other examples. The local channels get their talking points distributed to them. They all report the same things with they don't even have independence with the headlines anymore, or the taglines. They all have to read the same blurbs. It's a form of mass mind control. Guys, guess what? Our government has been involved in actively researching how to establish mind control over the masses since the 1950s at least. And this isn't a theory. This is documented fact. MK Ultra happened. Operation Mockingbird happen. The CIA has established people in our media that are there just to disseminate the CIA's talking points. And the CIA, I'm not trying to say that the only things that the CIA does are bad and nefarious. Okay. I understand reasons for intelligence gathering and security on a national level and stuff like that. But they're not supposed to be screwing with the minds and the messaging being broadcast out to the American people. They're not supposed to be dictating what we can think and what we can think about and what we're and trying to influence that in any way, really.
Right.
The government exists for the people, not the other way around.
And that's the paradigm that has to change, and I think it's the paradigm that can change, and it's just a matter of like just a few steps here of in the actual being able to have hard money is a part of that. Decentralizing, the financial system, decentralizing the sharing of information. Like this is so it's super positive, and I think we're really on the verge of a golden age where we truly are, and it could be a period unlike anything that we're aware of in human history, and so that's worth fighting for, and that's worth like participating in, and like I said, it's fun to participate in the market. It's fun to do all of these things. It's really cool to see all of these new technologies being built and deployed and how they work together. But the main thing is like we do have a choice for it to be a better way. And so, working to see that through is the best use of my effort that I could possibly think of.
Yeah, man, I agree. And nobody agrees on everything, right? We all have points of disagreement, but really fundamentally, if we actually all sit down and have conversations about with a mindset of finding our common ground, where we can work from, that's actually really what we need to be focused on more in our conversations with others, is finding the common ground where you and I see eye to eye on a lot of things, right? Some people disagree vehemently with us on some things, and that's okay too, because fundamentally at the base level, we have a lot more in common with everybody else on the planet than
Yeah.
where we diverge. We all need to eat. We all need to have access to energy. We all need to have safety and security and educational services for our children and infrastructure. We all need plumbing. There's lots of things that we have a lot of commonalities, where if we focused on the commonalities and working together along the lines of where we do intersect, the rest of everything else will sort itself out, because
Dude,
we'll see that we have more in common, that we can work with everybody. But
I love my wife. My wife is like my everything. Like we have a really good relationship. We have a very good friendship. And I'm lucky to have a best friend from childhood who like I've known since I was 13 years old. Just again, like best friend, like closer bond than blood. And you know what? I don't agree 100% with either one of them. And because if you agree 100% with someone else, something's wrong. Something is not right. And so we have to abandon this disillusion that just because you disagree with someone about something that it makes them a bad person. It doesn't. Like that's just silly, and it's intentional. you know it's okay to disagree on things, like you said. It's a matter of common ground. Start from your common ground, and start from. But if you like go down this rabbit hole deep enough, and you can really see like the predominant culture is very, very just anti-life. The messaging is very anti-life. and that people have to like be aware of that and be like, wait, what am I really like paying attention to here? So it's okay to disagree, like, but at some point,
100%. And actually, not to cut you off, but Gary, we all know Gary Reiger, and Gary might have a little bit of an opposing political position than some of the other people in the community. But I work with Gary all the time. I know he's a great guy. We work, we talk to each other about a lot of different things. I love what he's doing with the Clarity, Zero to Clarity group, and helping grow, and some of the things he's building out in the ecosystem. He's a good actor.
high
Gary
integrity.
might have we have a lot of common ground, just because
dude, it's high integrity, loves his family. Like that's just the whole thing. Like whether or not, like I said, like people have to shift their focus from like this thing where like this hardcore tribalism that it can manipulate people. Like, why don't we just find where we agree and some like we basically just need to agree on one thing. If you can just agree on one thing, you can start from there and make something amazing. But so I think that like that paradigm's failing, and that we are going to like cross a bridge and get into like better territory. And I'm super, super excited. Like I'm very optimistic about where everything's going. We just have to get through it to get to the other side, and it's that simple.
Much love back at you, Gary. We both love you too.
100%.
Yeah, man. So that's another great conversation, man. And we could talk about this all day. I think we do see eye to eye. We have a lot of common ground, right? And I think we have a lot of common ground we have far more in common with Gary than we disagree on. We just don't necessarily see the same high centralized solution. I don't want to say centralized, like the same federal level solution for some of our problems. But I don't think that's not as important as working out what we're building here on Stacks anyway, right? Either way the election turns out, our community's still going to be here. We're still going to be building out Stacks in the image that we want to collectively bring together. And the more input we can get on that, the better, right? And I really, I think these kind of conversations are great because it helps kind of put people in a different perspective. Like, we brought up Welsh, right? And that was a Freudian slip of mine. Obviously, it's some of their messaging is doing great job.
The
for
power of memes. Power of memes.
It caught me. But there's a Welsh community, and there's a Roo community, and there's a Rap Nothing community, and sometimes there's friction between some of these communities. Sometimes it's intentional because we like to tweak each other, and we're degens. We like to kind of troll each other a little bit, and a lot of it's just in fun. And sometimes people get a little overly personal, and we need to sort things out and let the air clear. But at the end of the day, we're going to keep coming back and working together on the commonalities where we're, both Welsh and Roo have a vested interest in us having a safe and secure ecosystem in Stacks. And that's never going to change. Like, you guys are always going to have that same focus. And that's the same thing with Velar and Alex. They coming at it. They are competitors. They're coming at it from different angles on different things, and they have different processes, and they don't have all of the same common ground. But at the end of the day, they're both on Stacks. They're both better when there's a broader, stronger ecosystem, when the community is growing. And there's a lot, and they're both going to work towards pushing those things. So,
and you need competition to drive innovation. Like, and that's healthy, normal, functional, life. I mean, this is just a reality of life, and so No, like you're exactly right. And within, when you start talking about, different communities and different projects and different protocols, that's just it. Like, competition at the end of the day exists to make everybody better. Even if you compete in something and you lose, losing is not this is a soapbox I could get on. Losing is not a dirty word. You don't get better unless you lose. And if you're not losing at some point, it means you're not trying hard enough. Like,
Right. You might be avoiding the tough competition if you never lose.
right. Like, but we have this thing where we're like, I don't want to lose. I don't want to feel bad. No, losing, if I wouldn't have had a business fail, if I wouldn't have like lost everything in my business, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at right now, almost with a 99% certainty, because that, like, having to immediately try to recover is like, oh, look, number go up. Look at this Bitcoin stuff. And that's all it took for me to then, within a short period of time, connect that to, my understanding of not just politics, but the economics, and then that even grew more, and how all of these things are related. So that all resulted from a loss, a painful loss. But guess what? Like, you have to lose. If you're not losing, you're not trying. And that's how you get better, and that's how you make everything better, when everyone's putting in the effort and trying to do that. This idea that you just can be passive and comfortable all the time is not really rooted in reality, because even if you have the ability to be passive and comfortable, inside yourself things are not going to feel right. It's going to create its own kind of dysfunctions. Your biochemistry at the cellular level, you are not designed to just feel comfortable and passive. Like,
No, it's the
that's
cycle.
for
Right?
old age, right?
Strong men make easy times, make weak men make hard times.
What's funny? In my career, I've, obviously being in healthcare, you deal with people who are elderly and nearing the end of their lives. And you know what, like, to a T, when you take older people who, like, physically can no longer do the things they did, it messes with them psychologically. Even there at the end, like, the fact that you take a man, for instance, who might have worked very hard his whole life just with machinery and tractors and physical labor and all of these different things, and now he can't do it anymore. Dude, it hurts. Like, it's a whole adjustment people have to make. I watched this happen with my own father as he got sick, right? Like, that's inside of us. And if you don't act on that when you're young and you're healthy and you have all these things going for you, it creates its own levels of dysfunction. And so it's just a matter of breaking through that.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I want to read this out because it's true. Nobody Famous, who just dropped some awesome bars the other day. Check her out. They're minting out for one stack on Gamma right now. So go to Gamma and get Nobody Famous's track.
I got my
Yeah, I got a couple. But she says, I don't compete against people. I compete against myself, which is actually something I often say. The only person you ever really have to measure yourself up against is you.
Right.
We're all working to better ourselves, right? That's who you should line yourself up against. But competition in the marketplace also does. So more nodes makes a more robust network, right?
Right.
And more people building horseshoes or producing horseshoes creates efficiencies in creating horseshoes. So it makes the cost of horseshoes cheaper for horse owners, right? And that's probably not a great analogy, but it's what
No, it actually is, because, like, that's what the battle in Bitcoin's been. It's been against the horseshoe makers with the people who are trying to make cars. right? And you've had a whole system, battling on behalf of the horseshoe makers, and they're finally losing. No, man, we want our cars, and then we want our flying cars, and then we
Right.
want our cars that can, I don't know, travel through wormholes, like whatever. Like we need to, and that's ultimately, on
Right.
the
The
macro
horseshoe
level.
makers are not going to win a battle against the auto manufacturers, because
Right.
that's a battle against, it's because that's not really a battle against the automobile manufacturers. It's a battle against the consumer. You're
Right.
trying to convince the consumer that this better product isn't better for them. That's not competition. That's a scarcity
Oligarchy.
mentality.
Yeah. No, and I love that term, and it's true. Like you don't need to be in this space with a scarcity mentality, and that's when you see the people again, and that goes back to not taking your present day reality and trying to project that into the future. It takes, not trying to just like be miserly with anything, any of your gifts, any of your resources, any of those things, and thinking I have to keep this all for myself. No, you have to find out and pay attention to what's coming, what could be real, and then work towards that. And you can't do that with a scarcity mentality,
100%. And it's not a good way to live either. Don't get me wrong. It takes balance, right? You can't live like you have a massive amount of abundance when you don't actually have abundant resources to draw from. You have to conserve what you have limited, right? And make the best and work with what you have. But you also have to work with what you have, and get the most out of it too, right? So that
Right.
but you can't, nobody's going to have all of the Bitcoin. Everybody should try to get some. It's
Right.
important,
And it's
because
important when the biggest thing is like when you're working, when if you're in a scarcity mentality, it's very hard to like give. And you should give, like, and giving takes many forms. You can like give somebody, something fungible, but you can give people non-fungible things. Like DeOrganized has been giving the community, effort and content and everything in an effort to help grow for everyone's benefit. You can give in many ways, but if you have a scarcity mindset, it doesn't make sense. And
right,
the end of the day, people need each other. Nobody is able to survive on their own, period. Like in any like it would be a nightmare to like be stranded by yourself on a desert island, and trying to make it. Like that's like the odds are stacked so heavily against you. So if you're just worried about, strictly yourself, you're really cutting your potential short, because if you can give, then you can help leverage your resources. So being able to take a little of your time, and or in your case a lot of your time, and like do like this show, you're giving. If you're able to like make somebody's day and give them an NFT or whatever, you're giving. And you don't even get to see the full manifestation of how that one good deed manifests, down the line, but you're putting that good thing out into the world. And so no, man, like this is all connected on like the meta level, because everything operates according to laws, even the laws we don't fully understand.
you're right.
Right.
And I will say, one of the laws of the universe does seem to be, again, drawing from my limited subjective experience, one of the laws of the universe does seem to be that what you project, you attract back to you. So when you do give, um, it doesn't. It, that might be an oversimplification, but when you do give with the intent of actually really supporting others and providing something of value out there, you get value back. It comes back to you. And I'm not saying it doesn't, not in a planned out way necessarily. A lot of times the world doesn't work out how you plan. No matter how you plan it, it doesn't work out. But it's a very healthy and effective exercise to imagine the world how you want it to be, and then to try to become yourself that exists in that reality that you want to experience. That's all we can really do is change ourselves. We can't change the world around us. We don't have the ability to do that, but we can change ourselves. And that's the approach I take to almost everything I do. I try to be, I want to experience a world where my kids have a good dad and my wife has a good husband. So I try to be a good dad and a good husband in the way that I can, be, in the world that I am imagining that reflects for them. And in the same thing, I want this ecosystem to succeed. So giving is also always selfish too, right? It's that you can't really do anything unselfishly, because at the fundamental level, when you're giving, whatever motivated you to engage in that act was derived from your own individual subjective value system. Like your values are all based on your subjective experiences, and that's all you have, right? So when you give something, I'm not saying it's not a good thing to do. I'm not saying that being selfish is really the only thing we have. But you should be aware that if you want to experience a world where you do have a broad community that is willing to work with you, you can't take everything for yourself. And you shouldn't even want to. You shouldn't really want to. That's not going to create the world you want to experience. It's not.
That's why it's healthy and helpful to think of like giving as a form of sacrifice. And then you can take this into like the more spiritual places. But if you think of it as a sacrifice, like think of like all of the different of your kids and all of the things that you've sacrificed for them, right? It's the same principle. And like there's definitely you want like healthy, functional children. And so you do that. So in that way, it can be kind of self-centered, but really you're doing it out of love and you're doing it, for their benefit. So it's, if you think of it like that, I find it to be helpful, because it is important. And that's just it. Like if you have something that you can like, sacrifice for someone else's benefit, that's one of the best things you can do. And if you can, it's good for you, and it does come back to you in unexpected ways. And I don't know why. I have my own personal like beliefs framed by my my worldview, but like it works. And if you can do that and keep other people and how your interactions with them affect them in any way, shape, or form, if you can be cognizant of that and just go through your day and try to like for me personally, I'm a Christian, and the Bible says that the tongue has the power of life and death, right? So what that means is you can put pain and hurt and so forth in someone, and you don't know how that's going to reverberate, or you can show someone love. And we're all fallible. So sometimes you're going to screw up more than you get it right. But if you can like get it right, that's a beautiful thing. And that's a better thing for everybody, yourself included,
Yeah, man. And I try not to get too into the religious conversations because I understand I don't have all the answers either. I was
No,
raised Catholic. I I believe in the fundamental the the fundamental Christian the tenet of, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? That's a basic philosophy that everyone should actually be able to get down with, right?
right,
um but you're right, as far as when you sacrifice, when you give, the universe does return it to you in ways that you're not expecting. And I also don't know why exactly it works that way. I'm not quite sure, how that all fundamentally happens. And I'm not sure what happens when the lights go out, I'm not
right,
sure if we experience anything beyond that. um I've experienced a lot of I've lost several people close to me in my life, and so I've contemplated a lot. I've had some um so my oldest son was in a really bad car accident, broke his leg pretty bad. He was okay. And then he had surgery, and then he stopped breathing during the surgery, and it was like a really scary couple of days. I thought I was going to lose my son. And he's good now. But I've had that was a very traumatic experience, and it was an opportunity for me to kind of reflect. What is this thing that we're experiencing here? What is it? What are we doing here? Um, and it really just seems like the whole thing is just an opportunity to have experiences, whatever they be. That's all we ever end up owning, right? Is our experiences. Like all the Bitcoin and all the things we can accumulate with it, and all the interactions and everything, all all sums down to our experiences. My experience getting to know you. Um Peace Love Music. If you guys go to the pinned tweet on my Twitter handle, I wrote this a couple years ago about peace, love, and music being the three fundamental experiences of man, and peace being um, the experience of knowing yourself or getting to know yourself, the inner dialogue, and love being the experience of getting to truly know another, in a way, the external dialogue, knowing another, and then music representing the experience of the physical world. Those are the three fundamental experiences we have. And at the end of the day, that's all we have. That's all we have is our experience with knowing ourselves, our experience with knowing others that exist in the same plane that we are at the same time, and understanding the plane of existence, that the physical world that we live within. Those are that's what we have. Everything else is just extensions of that.
yeah. No, you're 100% right, and like it's important to remember that like there is an inward, there is an exterior, and it's a matter of just trying to do the best you can. And if you can operate from a place of love, like I'll tell any young father, if you can operate out of a place for love when you're dealing with your children trying to figure out how to raise them, you can only mess up so bad. you know like and that should be our attitude towards everybody.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, because I know you also have successfully raised some excellent people. I have as well. And I started out very young. I was a very young father, and you fail, you learn through failure too, right? You get better at it as you go. Um, One of the best things I ever did was let them also fail. Let them try. Let them do whatever. I'm not dictating to them. It's their experiences, their life. They owe me nothing. I owe them everything. They exist because I put them here. I brought them into this thing. But that's for them. Their experiences are their experiences, not my experiences. So you got to let them with everybody else, you got to let people, you can't learn mistakes for people. No matter how much you tell somebody something, they gotta get it the way they're going to get it.
Yeah. I mean, you've had, tens of thousands of people buy Mother instead of Roo. Like, they got to make their own mistakes.
Those people are hopeless. Fucking idiots.
No, you're 100% right, man. No, it's true. Like, people have to make their own mistakes. That's for damn sure. But I am hopeful for what we're doing in this space, and I'll continue to do my best to do whatever I can to contribute positively to it, and I know you will too. And we tend to have a lot of people here that are along that same line, and so I think that's why you're seeing the success with the show. And I think that's why there's more success coming for the show, and it all works together, and we just keep doing that and see what happens.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for saying that. And one of the things, and it rings through from your perspective too, and what you present, and why you've been so successful in this space. We're authentic. We're not trying to be something we're not. And I think that also resonates with the community. People recognize and appreciate and want authentic experiences. And so that's part of it. On that note, though, I think we're a little bit past the hour. I love talking to you. We always have excellent conversations, and this has been another one. I want to point out again, guys, the Tremp whitelist, the QR code's right there. Go there, comment on the tweet, and drop your address, and we'll get you one of those. And I really want to ask you what's new. We'll end on this. What's going on? What's new for the Roo community? What are you guys working on? You want to let people know about? I know we got the runes coming up. You're gonna do some whitelist for that, and I heard something about
pretty crazy.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy, man. Like, well, first of all, for the Trump NFTs, that's turning into, like, what I've seen so far. It's turning into one of my favorite Gigapeppy collections, and I'm a huge fan of his art. On the Roo front, we told people we want this to be the ultimate amusement park for degens, right? And with the idea being, people like crypto's fun. Like, if you're into crypto, you're in it because there's a lot of fun parts about it. And so we figured if we could make something that was safe, as safe as you can make it, in terms of, like, you're not looking to cheat anybody. You've already separated yourself from, the vast majority of what exists in the space. And I'm not speaking, of course, necessarily of stacks. I'm speaking generally. If you can, if you can start
predatory. There are a lot of predatory and extractive projects, especially meme coin projects, in the crypto space.
So if you can start with, like, people like to have fun doing this stuff, so let's set up a foundation and then make different ways where people can participate in all the different aspects of it. So, obviously meme coins was a no-brainer. NFTs, we released the Stacks Invaders because because of the DMT part of it, which Ian discovered working on Joey. So that was like an innovative thing. So we're like, we got that. You go back to when runes, when the rune protocol went live, we etched runes for Roo, and we're like, we're going to use this for something cool, because runes are probably going to be a part of this next cycle. And and then you have ordinals, because we're doing everything on Bitcoin. So ordinals that already had a small bull run, runes that had a slight blip. And so now we're coming up on actually minting the runes. That's going to happen on November 1st through Ordinals Bot. And so if people have Roo and they have Stacks Invaders, they're getting the runes for just there's a transaction fee you have to pay on Bitcoin. Like, if you do anything else, it has a transaction fee. And then, through Ordinals Bot, they're going to have their own service fee. But if you're in Rue, if you're in Stacks Invaders, your actual runes that you're getting are free. So the ratio is for every 3 Rue you have, you'll get 1 rune, and for every Stacks Invader you have, you'll get 1,000 runes. So there, people will be able to like get their allocation, and then we're also the actual mint after the Rue Brews get their stuff becomes a paid mint, and that's going to be on sort of a bonding curve. So the whitelisted communities are getting in at the very beginning of the bonding curve. And so we're looking at, in today's prices for Bitcoin, the cost per rune is going to be about 15 satoshis, 14, 15 satoshis, which is about 1 cent USD. And then it's going
to mint.
Not to, well, to actually like that's like your per token price. If fees are like the same, and if between the fees and the service charge to actually mint the runes, I would expect for the Rue Brews, I've been telling them, just make sure you have about $15, $20 worth of Bitcoin to cover your transaction fee and the service charge. So then if for people who are whitelisted, you'll still need that. And then depending on how many runes you want, you could expect to pay about 1 cent per rune, which for a 42 million rune collection, which is quite small, we kept it the same number as the Rue token. If 42 million, it's like super cheap, in terms of like what other runes tend to launch at and so forth. So you can mint your runes, and then what we're doing is a DMT ordinal collection called the Rue Defenders. You got the Stacks Invaders, Rue Defenders, right? So every good protagonist needs an antagonist. And so you'll be able to get a Bitcoin DMT ordinal. The only way you'll be able to mint those is with the runes. And so from there, I get into the place where I can't promise anything, because, we like to be in a position where we can put the community wherever we want to in terms of like possible opportunities. We have several ideas past the DMT mint. But ultimately the thing for everyone to keep in mind, and this is very important, is runes. If you want to use them to get the art, awesome. I love ordinals. I think that collectibles on Bitcoin is going to be massive over time, because it's the perfect way to collect something. Like that's why I collect ordinals. But like in terms of the runes itself, if you're going to get those as a degen play, keep in mind that this is a degen play. This is the equivalent of meme coins on Bitcoin. So for the vast majority of everyone who's ever participated in crypto, you probably just would have been better off just buying Bitcoin and holding and trying to DCA. So
that's absolutely true, and I'm glad you said that, because it's important. It's important to differentiate. And don't get me wrong, the degen plays are fun as hell, and it's super cool, and you could do well, but it's definitely a much higher risk or risk play than buying and holding Bitcoin.
Right. So like that's the whole thing.
Don't spend your long-term life savings Bitcoin on any runes play.
Right. No, because that's the whole thing. It's like, this is for degens. If you are a degen, you like to do this stuff, and then if you like that high risk and you like the potential for returns and everything, this is for you. This is not something. This is for a specific kind of crypto guy. So I just want people to remember that, because while we're very bullish on the L1, we're very bullish on things going on, related to Bitcoin and Stacks. I think you're going to see a lot of rune stuff coming to Stacks and so forth. And we want to be in a position that we can allow degens to capitalize on all kinds of cool stuff. But whether or not that happens, I don't know. Don't spend your money on something that you don't understand, and don't do this unless you're someone who's going to go and spend money on some meme token, or the kind of guy who will go get rugged on Solana or whatever, because this is just a better this is a better thing. This is your amusement park for degens. We want to be the Disneyland for degens.
Right. Yes. So the progression goes Bitcoin, stacks, meme coins on stacks, Brooo being my favorite, but there are a bunch of cool ones. I love Welsh, Leo, nothing to wrap
100%.
nothing. There's this sock one, fresh, fresh and moist, pretty cool. And a bunch of other stuff, right? But then after all of that stuff, which is fun and safer than Solana shitcoins, my recommendation is, and some people might make money on them, so I'm not going to tell you don't don't do it. There's better plays than that for sure. But I have to use my runes. That's with the 10 O's runes. I have to use those to mint the defenders.
Right. So otherwise, if you like them, you're going to have to buy them on secondary. And who knows how that's going to do. But like, and knowing Ian, you guys should know that he's got a whole different plan on how he wants to do this DMT. So like, that's what we like to do. We like to experiment with things. We like to do cool stuff. And like, this is just what we do. Like, it's no different than if you're in TradFi and it's probably better to get the S&P or the NASDAQ than it is to play with penny stocks. If you like art, you'd have to ask Good Kitty a good metaphor for that, or a good analogy. But we are going to use these to make some cool art for our community on Bitcoin. So now you've got art on stacks, art on Bitcoin, both innovative. You've got the community that can expand now into the L1. And we want to push into other L2s, and it's fun to build stuff, and it's fun to build things that, like, I like to degen. I like the market. I enjoy the cycles. I enjoy the research. I enjoy all of these things. So I'm trying to be like, if I like this, other people will probably like it, and then you have a community that you can now bounce ideas off of and so forth. And like, what would you guys like to see? What can we do? Like, let's take this, because at the end of the day, Rue was like a baby, right? Like, if something bad had happened to me 2 days after we launched Rue, it probably would have just died, right? Now Rue's to a point where it's taken a life of its own, and like, that's the idea. I want to be able to help grow this and make a great community for people, and have other people come in and other people use their ideas. And much like Welsh is, what makes Welsh so cool is it kind of set the standard for what a community token looks like, for what a decentralized community looks like. And that's what I want for what we have here. I want this to be for the community, and I want to just watch it grow. And again, we could go on for 30 minutes about what I think the function of crypto and communities are going to look like for everybody later. And it's extremely fascinating. But we want to be right there on the vanguard of that too. And so we will have the runes mint November 1st. It'll be on Ordinals Bot. Those guys were one of the first movers on runes. I mean, on Ordinals, back when Ordinals became a thing. So we know we're going to have a good launch, and I really hope, if you're into this kind of stuff, man, come have fun with us. If you're not, that's cool too. We're going, and we're going to see just what all can be done.
Well, I'm in. I love it. I'm certainly happy to, and even just to support you guys, because I love what you're doing. But I have fun with that stuff too. I'm slightly technically retarded as far as having the capacity to really understand how it all works. But I'm getting better. I'm starting to understand more, and participating in things like that is also. It's not a huge financial risk, right? You can dabble in this, like you're saying, for like, let's say $50, under $50, you can get in,
like,
this, and learn
the white
a little.
list, that we're getting out to the communities, $10. If that's like your minimum buy-ins equivalent of 10 USD. And then you have a limit, right? But that's, yeah, and it's just if you want to do it. If you're not into that, by all means don't. But the idea of meme coins on Bitcoin is very compelling to me. It has been from day one. And then if you look at the interoperability with Stacks and other L2s, it becomes even more compelling to me. So this is just something that it's going to be fun to do. We're going to be one of the first communities to be able to make this kind of play, and we'll see how it changes the ecosystem, and we'll see what it does. That's what experiments are all about.
Right on, man. Jack, always a pleasure. You got anything else coming up today? Anything that people should know about?
No, right now I'm going to be working on seeing who wants whitelists for their communities. So if you haven't heard from me or a couple of other brews about it, please reach out. We want to make sure the Stacks community can get, just like we did with Roo. It's a fair, open. This isn't for insiders. This is just for everybody. So that's what we're going to be working on is whitelisting people who are interested and going from there.
Cool. My next thing on my agenda for today is 11 a.m. We got the SIP call. Anyone that's listening right now and wants to participate, you do not have to actually know anything about the SIPs to come tune into the space. And contribute. It's a great way to come and ask questions about what's being, and also we're looking for anyone that has ideas, innovation ideas or whatever, come out to the SIP call at 11. And I believe at noon, Zenitron is doing another Play to Earn episode for his Skullcoin project. So I'm going to tune into that space at noon. And then there's a whole slate of stuff all day. So lots of stuff to tune into. And then, looking forward to a nice relaxing weekend after another busy week. And, I don't think we have a show on Sunday, so it'll be a Sunday off. My Patriots are playing like 10 o'clock in the morning. So excited. I'm actually impressed with Drake May. I think he did well despite how terrible our team is. So, but
you can only dominate any field for so long.
I mean, it was a 20-year run. I can't compare. The most spoiled fan base in all of sports is the New England area. I'll take it too, by the way. But I mean, it's been a little bit of a little bit of a rough coming back to reality, learning how to not be a perennial contender. Like we are in no danger of making the playoffs. Probably for a couple years, maybe next year, depending on if we can shore up the offensive line. But anyway, let's not digress into that conversation, because I can go along. I've coached football a little bit. I can go a long ways with that conversation as well. So we'll cut it off. Thank you all for tuning in. I know you don't want to hear about the Patriots, and thank you, Jack. Always a pleasure, man. You are an absolute legend. I love having you, and I love having you as a good friend and a partner in this project here. Thank you, man. You have a blessed day. Everyone else, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to us. We love y'all, and y'all have and get some rest on this weekend. It's coming up. Everyone's been putting tons of work in. So I am DeOrganized. I am PeaceLoveMusic. We are DeOrganized. Jack Binswitch. Give him a follow if you're not. Who's not following Jack? And QR code. Sign up for the whitelist and get one of those Trump